Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The car hummed softly along the interstate as we made our way back from what was supposed to be a rejuvenating vacation. Emma was asleep beside me, her head resting gently against the window, peaceful. I glanced over at her, trying to remember the last time we had shared a moment of genuine affection. It seemed like ages ago. We had spent the last 2 weeks traveling along the coast of Spain, soaking up the sun and exploring ancient ruins and vibrant towns. Our camera was full of photos, sunsets, street markets, and the two of us, always smiling. But beneath those smiles, something had felt off. I just couldn't put my finger on it until now. Arriving home, I felt a lingering sense of disquiet. Emma retreated to the bedroom, claiming exhaustion, while I settled in the living room with our camera. My intent was simple: transfer the photos to my computer and maybe find a good one for our holiday card. That's when I saw it, the photograph that would shatter my world. It was taken near a castle in Almuñécar, a place we had planned to visit but skipped because Emma had felt unwell. Or so she said. There she was, standing under the moonlight, her silhouette framed by the ancient stones. She wasn't alone. Beside her was a man, his face turned away, his hand resting a bit too low on her back. I zoomed in, heart pounding. There was no mistaking the intimacy of their pose, the familiarity with which she leaned into him. It was late, well past the time she had returned to our hotel room those nights, claiming she had been out for a walk to clear her head. Rage and betrayal boiled inside me as I sat there, staring at the undeniable proof of her infidelity. How could she? After all these years, all our promises. I decided to confront her. She tried to deny it at first, but the picture was too damning. Eventually, she broke down and confessed to a brief affair with the man, a traveler from Italy she had met on the beach. The following days were a blur of shouting, tears, and recriminations. In my anger and hurt, I plotted my revenge. I contacted her family and friends, sparing no detail of her betrayal. I made sure her social and professional circles could see her for who I believed she was: a cheater, a liar. Our divorce was bitter and swift, her reputation tarnished by the stories I spread. Now, as I sit alone in the quiet of our now empty house, I wonder about the price of revenge. Emma is gone, out of my life forever, but the shadows of what I did in retaliation linger. I flip through the photos on my computer, each one a reminder of the happiness we once faked so well, and ponder the ruin left in the wake of betrayal. The days following our separation were heavy with silence and regret. I moved through them like a ghost, a shell of my former self. My home, once filled with laughter and warmth, now echoed with the cold, harsh sounds of solitude. I had expected to feel satisfaction, a sense of justice served. Instead, a gnawing emptiness took root. I was sifting through our shared belongings, deciding what to keep and what to discard, when my phone buzzed. It was a text from Tom, Emma's brother and, until recently, one of my closest friends. "Tom, we need to talk. Can we meet?" His message was brief, devoid of the usual warmth. I hesitated, knowing the conversation wouldn't be pleasant, but curiosity and a lingering loyalty to what our families had been compelled me to agree. Me, okay. Tomorrow at the old coffee house. Noon. Tom, see you there. The next day, I arrived early, a knot of anxiety tightening in my stomach. Tom walked in right on time, his face grim, his usual easygoing demeanor gone. "Mike," he greeted, his voice strained. "Tom," I nodded, gesturing to the chair across from me. We ordered coffees, and after a tense silence, Tom spoke. "Why'd you do it, Mike? Why destroy her like that? You didn't just end your marriage, you ruined her life." His words stung, but I was ready to defend my actions. "She cheated, Tom. She lied to me, to all of us. How was I supposed to just let that go? By talking, maybe. By trying to understand, to find a way to move forward. You think spreading the story was fair? It's not just her you've punished. Think about her parents, her friends. Think about how it reflects on you. His rebuke was a slap to my conscience. The repercussions of my actions had spiraled far beyond my original intentions. I was angry, I admitted, the weight of my choices settling heavy on my shoulders. I didn't think, I just reacted. Tom shook his head, his disappointment palpable. You need to make this right, Mike. Not for her, but for you. You're better than this. Leaving the coffee shop, Tom's words echoed in my mind. He was right. In my quest for retribution, I had lost a part of myself. It was time to reclaim it, to find a way to atone for the damage done. As I walked back to my car, I made a decision. I would start by reaching out to Emma, not to reconcile, but to offer an apology for the needless cruelty. It was a small step, perhaps too late, but it was a start. Reaching my car, I paused, taking a deep breath before pulling out my phone. I hesitated, then dialed her number. It rang, and then, unexpectedly, she answered. Emma, I started, my voice unsure. We need to talk. Emma's voice was cautious on the other end of the line. Mike? I wasn't expecting to hear from you. What's this about? I cleared my throat, finding my resolve. I think we should meet. There are things I need to say. A pause hung between us, thick with hesitation. Then, quietly, she agreed. Okay. Where? The park by the river. The same bench we used to go to, I suggested, a place neutral and public, laden with memories of better times. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. Her voice was steadier now, a hint of the strength I had always admired in her. Yes, I'll be there. The next day was brisk, the wind tousling the autumn leaves into whirls of gold and red as I made my way to the park. I arrived early, nerves edging my thoughts as I waited, watching families and joggers pass by. Emma arrived on time, her presence pulling me from my reverie. She had changed, subtly, there was a new hardness in her eyes, a protective shell. Mike. Her greeting was simple, devoid of warmth. Emma. I nodded, motioning to the bench. We sat, an awkward silence stretching between us. I took a deep breath, the words I had rehearsed tumbling out. I'm sorry, Emma. For how I handled everything. I let my anger and hurt cloud my judgment. I wanted to hurt you because I was hurt. That wasn't right. She listened, her face unreadable. Your apology doesn't change what happened, Mike. You didn't just lash out at me, you tried to destroy me. Why reach out now? I looked at her, really looked, seeing the impact of my actions written across her guarded expression. I know I can't undo what I've done. But after talking to Tom, I realized I've lost more than just my marriage. I've lost parts of myself that I used to be proud of. I want to try to make amends, if not for us, for my own sake. Emma was silent for a long moment. Do you remember how we used to be, Mike? We were a team. What happened to us? It was my fault, I admitted. I should have communicated more, trusted more. But when I saw that photo. Mike, that photo wasn't what it seemed. Yes, I was unfaithful, but there was more to it. Her voice faltered, then strengthened. I was going to tell you, to try to explain some things about myself I'm still figuring out. But you didn't give me that chance. The revelation stung, the complexity of her words sinking in. I should have given you a chance to explain. Maybe we could have figured things out together. Emma shook her head, the briefest flicker of sadness crossing her features. It's too late for what could have been, Mike. But your apology is a start. We talked more, the conversation meandering through the ruins of our relationship. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the park, Emma stood. This doesn't change the past, but maybe it can change how we move forward, she said. Separately, but with less bitterness. Thank you for listening, Emma. And I truly am sorry, for everything. She nodded, a gesture of acknowledgement if not forgiveness, then turned and walked away, leaving me to watch as she disappeared into the gathering dusk. I sat there for a long while, contemplating the winding paths we both must tread, apart yet forever connected by what had been and what could never be again. The weeks that followed our conversation in the park were turbulent. My mind was a tempest of regret and unresolved anger. The echo of Emma's partial confession about the photograph haunted me. The more I thought about it, the more the pieces didn't fit. There was something she wasn't telling me, something crucial that could change everything. Determined to uncover the truth, I decided to delve deeper. I contacted the man from the photograph, Luca, under the guise of seeking closure. Surprisingly, he agreed to meet, and we arranged to convene at a quiet bar downtown. The night was chilly as I walked into the dimly lit space, spotting Luca at a secluded table. His demeanor was cautious yet open. "Mike," he greeted, extending his hand, which I shook reluctantly. "I appreciate you meeting with me," I began, cutting straight to the chase. "I need to understand what happened between you and Emma." Luca sighed, a hint of regret in his eyes. "I thought you might come looking for answers eventually. Emma and I, it wasn't just a fling. We met at a conference a year before the trip. We connected over shared interests, and yes, there was an attraction." I clenched my fists, my heart racing. "And the photo?" He hesitated, then continued, "That photo was meant to be sent to a friend of ours who was supposed to join us at the castle. Emma wanted to surprise you with a vow renewal there. I was helping her plan it. But she got cold feet about telling you and backed out last minute. She was scared of how much she had to lose." The revelation hit like a punch to the gut. My quest for revenge, based on an assumption of her betrayal, had been misguided, fueled by my insecurities and precipitated by a misunderstanding. And why would she risk everything if she was planning something for us? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Because she loved you, Mike. She was trying to find the right time, and it just got out of hand." Anger, guilt, and sorrow swirled within me. I had destroyed everything on a foundation of misinterpreted truths and half-lies. Leaving the bar, I felt a plan forming. A dark, ruthless idea to undo the perceived betrayals, not just by Emma, but by everyone who had deceived me, knowingly or not. Over the next few days, I meticulously prepared my revenge against those I deemed traitors. I started with subtle moves, sabotaging business deals, spreading rumors, and using every piece of personal information they had ever shared with me against them. For Emma, the revenge was the most personal. I orchestrated a leak of her personal writings and art, twisting them to appear as confessions of deceit and manipulation. The fallout was catastrophic. Her professional reputation was ruined, her personal life in shambles. Finally, I arranged for one last meeting with Emma, at the same park where we had last spoken. She arrived, looking worn and defeated. "Why, Mike? Why are you doing this? I trusted you, and you betrayed me," I said, my voice cold and unforgiving. "I never betrayed you," she countered, her voice breaking. "I loved you. I was trying to make things right." "It's too late for that," I replied, my decision cemented by my grief and fury. As we parted, the finality of our shattered bonds was palpable. We walked away from each other, our paths diverging forever, each step echoing with the weight of betrayal and the ruinous cost of revenge. In the silence that followed, I realized that in my quest for retribution, I had lost not only the person I once loved but also the very essence of who I had been. The deception had been my own, a self-inflicted wound born from misunderstanding and the inability to forgive.